During Champions League football for next season if they beat Newcastle at the King Power this evening. A win for the Foxes would see them move 8 points clear of 5th place West Ham, and they'd be closing in on 2nd place as well. They'd move to just a point behind Manchester United. The Foxes have made one change from their draw with Southampton last time out. Ricardo Pereira replaces Luke Thomas. For Newcastle, they're 9 points clear of the relegation zone, and they could be safe by the end of the weekend if they win this game. 2 changes for them. Emil Kraft and Joe Willock both start. Well, it's a very warm welcome along to our independent off-tube studio commentary of the opening match of this Premier League weekend. Friday night football, Leicester, Champions League chasing Leicester, taking on Newcastle United. The Foxes coming into this game sitting at 3rd in the standings, 5 points clear of 5th place West Ham in the race to finish in the top 4. So that gap could open to 8 this evening, and that would be a huge one for Leicester, particularly as they have difficult fixtures to come after tonight's game, which on paper at least looks their most winnable before the end of the season. For Newcastle, 9 points clear of the relegation zone. They could guarantee their safety by the end of the weekend. They'll be hopeful of winning this game and bouncing back from a disappointing defeat to Arsenal last time out. I'm Tom McGarry, and I'll be talking you through this evening's coverage. If you were listening to the team news before kick-off, you'd have heard that Johnny Evans was due to start this match, but just 10 minutes before kick-off, he's pulled up with what looks like a back injury, so he's been replaced in the starting 11 by Mark Albrighton. It means Leicester looks like they're going with a back 4 rather than a back 5, and Christian Fuchs comes on to the bench in place of Albrighton. So a blow for Leicester even before the line with Wesley Fofana, who almost gave the ball away actually there, just about had the legs to reach James Maddison, who's now driving forward. So I'll just hold fire on the team news. Maddison looking to lift the ball into the box, but that's too close to Martin Dubravka in the Newcastle goal. So Leicester, now they go with Schmeichel in goal, about 4 of Ricardo, Soyuncu, Fofana and Castagna. Albrighton in a midfield alongside Tielemans, Ndidi and Maddison, with Vardy and Iheanacho have been so good together, playing as a 2 up front over recent months. Particularly Iheanacho is really in a rich vein of form there, leading the line for Leicester this evening. For Newcastle, Dubravka in goal, Kraft, Fernandes and Dummett are the central 3, with Ritchie and Murphy the wing-backs, Willock and Shelvey in the midfield, with Almiron and St Maximin supporting leading scorer Callum Wilson up front. Just to hammer home what kind of form Kelechi Iheanacho's been in over recent months. Since March the 1st, across Europe's top 5 leagues, only Kylian Mbappe has scored more domestic league goals than the Nigeria international. We're 2.5 minutes into this game then. Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. Newcastle with a throw-in midway inside the Leicester half. Matt Ritchie takes it down the left-hand side, gets it back from St Maximin, and his attempted ball down the line is blocked out of play by Ricardo Pereira for another Newcastle throw-in. The Magpies were in decent form before that disappointing display against Arsenal last Sunday. They were on a 7-game unbeaten run before that. A 4-game unbeaten run, just 1 defeat in 7. Including a credible 1-1 draw in their last away fixture at Anfield against Liverpool. But this will be an equally tough test, you would imagine, for Steve Bruce's side this evening. Leicester have won the last 3 Premier League meetings between the two sides, 8 of the last 10 encounters in the top flight as well. Mark Albrighton brings the ball forward. Looks like he's starting out on the left-hand side. Finds Ndidi. Maddison, lovely feet down that left-hand flank to return the ball to Ndidi. Newcastle pressing Leicester hard in their own half. That press is being led by Callum Wilson. Leicester are able to play through it initially. Soyuncu feeds a good ball forward to Kelechi Iheanacho, who squeezes it out wide to Maddison, who can carry forward down the left-hand flank. A little bit laboured in his movement there as he tried to get away from Jacob Murphy, but Leicester have retained possession. They move it out to the right-hand side. I'm just wondering, I think Leicester might still be lining up in a back 3. I think Castagna might actually be going as a 3rd centre-back on the right, with Fofana in the middle, Soyuncu on the left. Ricardo then playing as the right wing-back. And I mentioned Mark Albrighton out on the left. I think that's the role he's playing as a left wing-back over there, and he might get the ball now from James Maddison. more in a left wing position, Albrighton. He was a very versatile player. Feeds it back into Maddison, who lifts the ball into the box. Dangerous cross, and it's Yuri Tielemans who was the most advanced player forward, and he got his head to the ball there, the midfielder. Under pressure, couldn't guide the efforts on target. It's a lovely ball in from Maddison. Left of centre, Maddison. He's tried a couple of crosses already from that position. This one was a good one. And Tielemans challenging in between Miguel Almiron and Matt Ritchie. I think it was Almiron actually who got the final touch to turn it over the top. Tielemans was appealing for a corner. He hasn't got that decision. Did look like, though, it came off Miguel Almiron last. The referee this evening, incidentally, is Darren England. Difficult one to call, of course, as Tielemans and Almiron were in such close proximity to each other, as Shelvey's given the ball away deep inside his own half. It's with that man Maddison once again, who's made a lively start. Give and go between him and Vardy. Maddison will shoot from the edge of the area, straight down the throat of Martin Dubravka. But a very positive start from the Foxes. Not distracted or put off by the late withdrawal of Johnny Evans from the starting lineup. Perhaps a little bit of frustration in there. They were in action last Friday against Southampton. Played the majority of that match against 10 men after the controversial sending off of Saints defender Yannick Vestergaard, but they fell behind and ultimately could only draw that game 1-1 at St Mary's. So perhaps they're frustrated from seeing that match as 2 points dropped and are looking to immediately get on the front foot. Timothy Castagne was speaking to the media before the game, saying they've been working hard on how to break down teams that sit deep. Newcastle certainly fall into that bracket. It looks like the pattern of the game is well and truly set, as Maddison having a very major involvement. He's been directly involved in 12 goals in his last 18 Premier League appearances. The England international, still considered only really an outsider to getting Gareth Southgate's European Championship squad this summer. Such as the riches that England have in that position, but he's certainly a man when fit who delivers for Leicester City, as Soyuncu's ball forward almost finds Ricardo. He's a little bit unfortunate there to be penalised for a foul against Matt Ritchie. One of those, as soon as the defender feels the contact into his back when he's facing his own goal, he goes down, and 9 times out of 10 the referee is going to duly blow for a free kick. Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. Almost 7 minutes on the clock. Ball forward from Martin Dubravka out towards the right hand side, flicked on by Murphy, but didn't really have anyone in close proximity. In a yellow shirt, it's the luminous yellow away kit of Newcastle this evening with a black trim. Leicester the home side in their all blue colours. First real involvement there for Jamie Vardy, holding the ball up. It comes to Albrighton, who switches from right to left, finds Pereira, who just can't control low under pressure from Ritchie, and Ritchie can bring the ball forward now for Newcastle United, supported by St Maximin down the left hand side. Back it goes towards Paul Dummett. St Maximin once more into Miguel Almiron. St Maximin and Wilson, very much the creative forces, the flair players in this Newcastle team, although of course Joe Willock, the man in possession at the moment, has popped up with some late goals as a substitute over recent weeks. Didn't figure against Arsenal because he was ineligible to face his parent club, of course on loan from the Emirates Stadium. But popped up with big goals in Newcastle's 3 previous matches before that, against Liverpool, West Ham and Burnley. And he's in possession again with number 28 on his back, and he's taking on Wilfred Ndidi and Mark Albrighton. Got beyond Ndidi, but then was crowded out by the latter. Claims he should have a corner. I think he's a little bit hopeful more than anything there from Willock. And the decision is a Leicester goal kick. First real foray we've seen, though, with Newcastle looking to get forward in this first half. Opening exchanges at the King Power Stadium. It is still Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. No real chances to speak of note as of yet. Leicester do look lively. James Maddison's put in a few dangerous crosses. One that was headed over by Yuri Tielemans, and another that led to a shot from Maddison that was saved comfortably by Martin Dubravka. The big news is that Leicester lost Johnny Evans in the warm-up. He was due to start the game, but he picked up what looked like a back injury and has been forced off. Mark Albrighton has come into the starting 11. Foul on Callum Wilson there by Kaglar Soyuncu, right on the edge of the Leicester penalty area. I think they will have a look to see if it is a penalty, but looking at the replays again, it seems like it was just a yard or so outside the box. Darren England certainly gave a free kick initially, and that decision looks like it's going to stand, but it was a Poor challenge from Soyuncu. He just dangled a leg and invited Wilson to go over. Wilson would have been hopeful that he was in the area, but as I say, he just about wasn't. It's a free kick just outside the box, the right-hand side of the box. Matt Ritchie, a left footer, is standing over the ball, looking ready to whip this in. This is a very promising situation for Newcastle United. Players crowded around the edge of the 6-yard box. It's a two-man at Leicester wall made up of Albrighton and Iheanacho. Ritchie, can he deliver? Left foot, he goes low. It's cleared away by Vardy at the front post, but straight back to Ritchie. His cross is blocked. It'll come to Ritchie again for a third time. This one's a better ball in to St. Maximin, far post. Can he find a pocket of space? No, Castagna gets an important toe in, and in the end Leicester defended what looked a very dangerous situation pretty well. Newcastle will look to come again with Matt Ritchie, who's still in that right wing position after taking the free kick. Finds Almiron, who can't quite link up with Callum Wilson on the edge of the Leicester penalty area. But this is a good spell for Newcastle United. They'll look to come again. Almiron shifts it out to Dummett on the left-hand side. Willock involved as well. Joe Willock clips the ball forward. He spotted the run of Wilson, but the pass is easily cut out by Kaglar Soyuncu. He'll be breathing a sigh of relief that the free kick he gave away came to nothing. Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. Albrighton for Leicester. Forward to Tielemans. Now James Maddison goes back out to Albrighton on the left-hand side, who's been heavily involved so far, Mark Albrighton. Sort of gone through a bit of an intense stretching period for those 10 minutes when he realised he was going to be starting the game. A late call-up due to Johnny Evans' injury. Christian Fuchs has been drafted in on the bench as one ball forward from Tielemans might release Jamie Vardy down the left-hand side. He's been held up by Kraft. He's got beyond Kraft, pulls it back towards Iheanacho. But the referee's whistle has blown because between him and the assistant on the near touchline, they've decided that Vardy ran that out over the byline before he cut it back towards Kelechi Iheanacho. The ball deflected away from Iheanacho anyway, so it wasn't a controversial moment, so to speak. Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. Leicester, as it stands at the moment, going into this game, third in the standings, 4 points behind second place Manchester United, 2 ahead of Chelsea in fourth, and probably most importantly of all, 5 ahead of West Ham, who currently sit in 5th position. Leicester looking to secure Champions League football. They've been in the top 4 pretty much for the entirety of the campaign. They were like that last season before a late season dip saw them drop out on the final day, as Fofana's now given away a free kick, rather unnecessarily barging into Miguel Almiron, similar to Soyuncu a few minutes ago. A rash defending really, which you don't come to expect from the Leicester backline. The free kick Soyuncu gave away was on Newcastle's right. This is on the left and a bit further out towards the touchline. Ritchie again standing over it as a left-footed option, but Shelvey's there as a right, and in fact Ritchie's jogging away from the ball now. Shelvey lifts it into the box. It's flicked goalwards by Federico Fernandez, who came forward from the back, and it's just glanced wide of the target. Newcastle have quality in terms of the delivery they can put into the box. Shelvey usually at the centre of that, and that was a really good ball into Fernandez, who was just trying to glance it goalwards, use the pace of the ball to find that bottom corner, and he was a little unlucky, the Argentine defender. Easily could have found the bottom corner there, but a couple of let-offs and warning signs for Leicester City. 2 unnecessary free kicks they've given away in dangerous areas in the space of just 2 or 3 minutes. Kasper Schmeichel will take this resulting goal kick for the home side. Long, deep into Newcastle territory, flicked on by Vardy. Headed away by Fernandez, but only as far as Albrighton on the left-hand side, who finds Iheanacho down the channel. Albrighton's on the overlap. Iheanacho instead rolls the ball back to Ndidi. The ball is recycled to Soyuncu on the halfway line. The Turkey international just rolls it into the feet of Fofana. Castagna, who is playing as that right centre-back, although will naturally drift wider and probably get forward more than Johnny Evans would have done, or one of the other 2 centre-backs in Fofana or Soyuncu certainly would do. As Richie fouls Ricardo Pereira. It's Leicester's turn to have a free kick. This one now just 10 yards or so inside the Newcastle half. On the right hand side, it's taken short by Tielemans. Castagna into Fofana and across to Soyuncu, who will carry the ball forward into Newcastle United territory. Delivers a left-footed cross as well, which wasn't the worst ball in the world. It's too far for Tielemans, but Ricardo will look to keep it alive down the right-hand flank. Almiron's there on the cover for Newcastle and can clear it out of play for a throw-in. 15 minutes have been played. Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. It's been a lively start, though, from both sides, it has to be said. No clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities as of yet, although Fernandez's header from that John Joe Shelby free kick was a half-decent opportunity for Newcastle at the very least. But the game is bubbling under the surface nicely. Ricardo Pereira for Leicester, midway inside the Newcastle half. Castagna rolls it infield to his fellow Belgium international Yuri Tielemans. Back it goes to Castagna once again. Now Vardy. Castagna is making a run forward, but his layoff just caught Maddison on his heels. Newcastle can look to spring a counter-attack, and that's a lovely ball from Murphy round the corner. Wilson, he's got St. Maximin in the middle. This is a chance for Newcastle. Square to St. Maximin. What a save from Kasper Schmeichel. A crucial stop from the goalkeeper. St. Maximin surely felt he was going to score, really had to score there. It's a really good counter-attack, though. Lovely ball from Jacob Murphy down the right-hand side. Wilson driving into the penalty area. Had the presence of mind to get his head up, squared it for St. Maximin, but brilliant from Kasper Schmeichel. Almost in the style befitting of his dad years before him, coming out, making himself so big. And with his outstretched left boot, he's closed the angle, and he makes a brilliant save. By far and away, I just mentioned we hadn't had a real clear-cut opportunity in the match so far. That certainly was that. And it's to stop Newcastle from taking the lead only by the brilliance of Leicester's goalkeeper. Ritchie whips in the resulting corner. Schmeichel punches clear and he was being fouled in the process. So that's the end of that attack for Newcastle. But I cannot underestimate what a brilliant and important piece of goalkeeping that was from Leicester's captain, their undisputed number one. Sensational goalkeeping. And, you know, I can describe it. St. Maximin was 7 yards out, no defenders around him. I mean, as I say, you can make the argument, and he probably should be scoring, but I would put that down as a brilliant piece of goalkeeping more than I would a poor piece of finishing. It was a brilliant save from Kasper Schmeichel. And another warning sign for Leicester. They've had a few already in this first half. As there's a foul, is there, over on the far side? Yeah, James Maddison has brought down his man, Steve Bruce. Maddison's boots come off there. Steve Bruce has picked it up and having a bit of a joke there, pretending to run off with James Maddison's boot. Not sure if Maddison quite saw the funny side, but it was just tongue-in-cheek from Steve Bruce. Showing that despite the pressures of being a Premier League manager, he can still have a laugh and a joke and show that side of his personality. There's another foul on a Newcastle player. This time Willock's been barged to the ground. Bruce not as happy about that challenge from Kaglar Soyuncu. But just over 18 minutes being played, 0-0 it remains. But you would say certainly Newcastle have had the better chances. And overall, despite seeing less of the ball, they've been probably the more dangerous looking side in just general play as well. As Fernandez works it out to Dummett on the left hand side. He looks for an early ball around the corner. It's a searching pass and a good run from Callum Wilson down the channel. Steps inside away from Fofana. But there was Castagna across on the cover. But I think, I can just tell by Wilson's movement there, the offside flag he knew was always going to be raised, and eventually it was by the assistant on the far side. So it'll be a free kick to Leicester. Have yet to really get going in this first half. Schmeichel will take the free kick on the edge of his penalty area. Feints to hit it short twice and then just clips it up towards the halfway line, where Iheanacho flicks it onto Maddison. Didi will now work it out to Mark Albrighton on the left hand side. He wants to check in on his right foot. Murphy's aware of that, forcing Albrighton back. Tielemans now into Fofana. Castagna down the right-hand flank, linking up with Ricardo Pereira. Two right-backs, attacking right-backs by trade, but it's the first time they've worked together down that side of the pitch, and they seem to have a decent understanding, as Ndidi's clip ball is too long there for Ricardo Pereira, and that will go out of play for a goal kick. Still goalless between Leicester and Newcastle, but Newcastle really should be in front, and they would have been but for a sublime piece of goalkeeping from Kasper Schmeichel. I can't overestimate just what a good save this was. It's a brilliant counter-attack by Newcastle. Jacob Murphy, ball round the corner to Callum Wilson, who breaks into the penalty area, shows great presence of mind to square it across to Alan St-Maximin, 7 yards out, just Schmeichel to beat. He surely had to score, but I'm not putting it down as a St-Maximin miss. I'm putting it down as a brilliant piece of goalkeeping from Schmeichel, who made himself really big and managed to turn the ball behind with the toe of his left boot. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. Yeah, it really was a brilliant piece of goalkeeping from Kasper Schmeichel. And the main reason we are still goalless at the King Power Stadium this Friday night Premier League match between Leicester and Newcastle will bring you independent off-tube studio commentary. Second week in a row that Leicester have played on Friday night, having had that 1-1 draw with Southampton at St Mary's Stadium 7 days ago. As Martin Dubravka, the Newcastle goalkeeper, switches the ball out to Ritchie on the left-hand side. Delicate first-time touch with the outside of his left boot to find Almiron. Now Paul Dummett for Newcastle. Homegrown academy product, Dummett. He has it again from Ritchie, sends it forward first time, just too much on it for Wilson, but Soyuncu's been caught in possession by Willock, who's into the penalty area. Joe Willock finds the bottom corner. This time, Kasper Schmeichel can't keep it out, and they've had their warnings in this match. Leicester City, they haven't heeded them. And Willock, who scored some important goals from the bench over recent weeks, has got one from the start in this game, capitalising superbly on a mistake, though, from Leicester defender Kaglar Soyuncu. Deadlock broken at the King Power Stadium. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 1. It has been coming. Newcastle have been the better side in the opening quarter of this game, and they've capitalised on a mistake from Kaglar Soyuncu. A loose touch. He's trying to Cruyff turn on the ball midway inside his own half. He doesn't realise Joe Willock is closing him down. Willock picks his pocket, and with Soyuncu chasing back at him, he does really well, drives into the penalty area and shows great composure on his left foot to find the bottom corner of the net. This time, Kasper Schmeichel couldn't come to Leicester's rescue. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 1. Yeah, brilliant play from Willock. Newcastle have been pressing really hard in this first half and forcing mistakes, and why they've got so many free kicks as well in dangerous areas over the course of these opening 22 and a half minutes. And now they've got the goal. As I say, their play probably deserves, certainly in terms of the chances they've created and the positivity they've shown to counter-attack. Yes, they're not seeing much of the ball. What they're doing with it has been a lot more effective than what Leicester City have offered. Leicester, who were behind to Southampton last Friday night and got it back to 1-1 by the end, they still have plenty of time on their side, and they've forced a corner pretty much from the kickoff. An opportunity for them to strike straight back. Soyuncu will make his way forward from the back. It's played by Tielemans to the edge area. Madison drives towards goal on the half volley. It's blocked by Ritchie. That's a really good effort. That was the old Beckham Scholes routine from Manchester United back in the day. This time it was Tielemans to Madison for Leicester. Really good driven ball from Tielemans, and on the half volley, brilliant technique from Madison. Probably would have been one that Dubravka would have been saving, but Ritchie was well positioned to get the block in. That's one of the things about those attempted free kicks, that there's so many bodies that you have to try and squeeze it through the man volleying to find a route to goal. Ritchie's actually down. Well, he's got back onto his feet now just as I speak, but he's hobbling badly actually. I'm not sure if that's to do with the block he put in. Leicester have a free kick on the right hand side. Tielemans again will be the man to take it, whips it in towards the far post, and Fofana heads it towards goal. Well saved by Dubravka. Soyuncu trying to keep the attack alive. Ritchie's there to head clear for Newcastle. This is a really, really entertaining game, though. Great free kick from Tielemans. Fofana's header. And Dubravka this time. Forced into a really, really big save. Leicester 0, Newcastle 1 it remains. Are we going to see with the goal that put Newcastle in front, the game just switch in terms of how it's been going, and Leicester now finally try and get themselves on the front foot. Tielemans there with a clip ball over the top, but Dubravka's out to make a strong claim on what is his 100th appearance for Newcastle this evening. Just looking back at that save, Fofana got a run on his marker there. No one really was close to him from a Newcastle point of view. And once he's up there, he makes good contact with the header. It is a save that Dubravka would expect to make. It's relatively close to him as he falls to his left-hand side. But it still needed stopping, and the Slovakia international did exactly that. As Leicester look to build again. Pereira ball around the corner. Fernandez is there to tidy up for Newcastle. Goes back to Martin Dubravka. Leicester certainly won't panic in this situation. Only Manchester United have picked up more points from losing positions this season in the Premier League than the Foxes. They've won 20. United have staggeringly won 28. The next best behind Leicester is a couple of teams on 13. So that shows how it's gone, as that's a poor clearance from Tielemans. It goes straight to Murphy, right-hand side. Wilson in the middle, tries to pull it back towards Wilson. Castagna comes across, reads the danger well and is able to clear, and was fouled by Wilson as he was doing so. But another Leicester mistake inside their own half. You don't expect that from Yuri Tielemans. Newcastle, credit to them. They're forcing these mistakes, though, with the high pressing that they're adopting. We know they've got the makeup to be a counter-attack inside. The likes of Almiron and St. Maximin. That is proving really effective this evening, as Mark Albrighton is now hobbling badly for Leicester. Looks like he might have hurt his left ankle. He's not receiving treatment at the moment, back on his feet. But the player who came into the starting 11 this evening to replace Johnny Evans at the 11th hour, after Evans withdrew from the starting lineup with his own injury just 10 minutes before kick-off. And now might be doubts about whether Mark Albrighton can continue. He's been given the ball there by Soyuncu, returns it to the defender. He's not moving comfortably. Brendan Rodgers will be hoping that's one that Albrighton can just run off, and that's certainly what he's attempting to do at the moment. Leicester in possession with Fofana. Out to Castagna on the right-hand side, supported by Ricardo Pereira. Goes back in now to Wesley Fofana once more. Soyuncu, who will be looking to get that mistake out of his mind now. One that led to the opening goal of the game for Newcastle and Joe Willock. Ricardo Pereira back in towards Castagna. Newcastle with this low block, just getting everyone behind the ball. It's making it really difficult for Leicester to try and find a way through. If anyone's capable of that, it's James Maddison, the man in possession. Rolls it across to Castagna. Tielemans. Give and go between Tielemans and Ricardo Pereira, and Tielemans down the right-hand side can deliver a cross. It's deep to the far post. Too deep for anyone in a blue shirt. Albrighton will keep it in on the left-hand side. Finds Undides. Another deep cross. Ritchie is there to deal with it. He heads it out of play for a Leicester throw-in. 28 minutes on the clock. Leicester 0, Newcastle 1. Tielemans will leave the throw-in for Ricardo Pereira. Finds Iheanacho. Difficult one for him to try and control. Will be another Leicester throw though. Well, oh no, the referee and his assistant have actually flagged in Newcastle's favour. I think in fairness it probably looked like it was a Leicester throw-in, but they maybe thought it was a free kick with Ricardo's sliding challenge on Paul Dummett. Camera just panning to Johnny Evans now, who is dressed, suited and booted once again, watching on. He's not got the shoe on his right boot though, which might suggest that's the problem. Hugely frustrating for him, particularly as Leicester behind in this game from defensive mistakes that I'm sure Evans will feel he would not have made. There's Wilson for Newcastle down the right-hand side, finds Willock. Was he fouled by Soyuncu? Yes, he was. It's not been a Good opening 29 minutes for Kaglar Soyuncu in this game. Protests his innocence, but he was just a bit too gun-ho there in trying to pinch the ball back off Newcastle's goal scorer. John Joe Shelvey will work his way across to the right-hand side to take this free kick in another decent crossing position for Newcastle over by the throw-in line. Fernandez, Kraft have come forward from the back. Shelvey delivers in towards Federico Fernandez. That was good defending from Soyuncu to flick the ball clear. St. Maximin will keep it in for Newcastle down the left-hand side. Skips away from Tielemans. Tries a shot towards goal there, Alan St. Maximin. Bit of a 1 in a million hit there as he was running away from goal, trying to whip his right boot around it, and he sends it well wide of the target. As we tick beyond the half an hour mark in this match, we're bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary of the opening match of this Premier League weekend. All the Premier League games available on this service across the course of Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Tielemans for Leicester, rolls it into the feet of Ndidi. Poor ball though from Wilfred Ndidi, picked off by Jacob Murphy, who's done that really well so far in this game. Murphy playing at right wing back, seems really at home in that position. Position he's only really taken up over the course of this season. St. Maximin and Almiron now combining down the Newcastle left, and Almiron's got to the byline, and was he fouled by Castagna? The referee says corner rather than penalty. It was a lunging challenge, an all or nothing challenge from Timothy Castagna. Almiron had got beyond him, used his pace, and Castagna certainly wasn't goal side, but he does just get a faint touch on the ball. You have to say it's a good challenge from Timothy Castagna, a very risky one, and I wouldn't have been surprised had the referee pointed to the spot, but he hasn't. And I don't think VAR are going to ask Darren England to change his decision or have a look at his decision, and indeed it will just be a corner for Newcastle. No real protest from them, it has to be said, as Shelvey's cross towards the far post is headed away by Soyuncu. Richie picks up the pieces for Newcastle United, finds Almiron. Now St. Maximin, this time popping up on the right. Throws himself to the ground there as Iheanacho comes across. No free kick. And Fofana will clear for for Leicester, sorry. Look towards Vardy, whose flick on doesn't find a teammate. And clearance from Fernandez will just roll through though to Kasper Schmeichel, who in a hurry bowls the ball out to the left-hand side, finds Albrighton. Iheanacho trying to turn. Albrighton almost got to the loose touch, and now both those players are out of position, and Newcastle can look to break down the right-hand side. Willock again up against Soyuncu. You can see the confidence Joe Willock's playing with, and he whips in a dangerous cross that between Castagna and then Soyuncu, they turn away Leicester for another Newcastle corner. But Joe Willock is thriving at the moment at Newcastle United. Couldn't get regular minutes at Arsenal over the first half of the season. He's come to Newcastle to play regularly, and although he's had to start on the bench a number of times, the goals he's got after coming on as a substitute have put him into the team this evening. He's scored again, and he's playing really well, and he's added goals from the midfield, which Newcastle simply didn't have over the first half of the season. In truth, if Callum Wilson wasn't scoring, Newcastle United weren't scoring, but now they have a genuine threat from a deeper area in their number 28. As Richie will take this corner for Newcastle. Shelvey, Fernandez, St. Maximin, Dummett and Wilson all in the 6-yard box. It's whipped into the area and headed into the back of the net by Paul Dummett, and Newcastle United lead Leicester City at the King Power Stadium by 2-0. If Willock has been amongst the goals of late, well, Paul Dummett certainly hasn't. The academy graduate with a bullet header. Schmeichel got a hand to it, but he couldn't keep it out. And I don't think anyone was expecting to see this scoreline this evening. But Newcastle are 2 goals to the good. Would you believe it? It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2, and an unlikely scorer for the Newcastle's second goal, Paul Dummett, with a header from a Matt Ritchie corner. He rose higher than his marker, Fofana, and 6 yards out. The power of the header got past Kasper Schmeichel, who got a hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. Newcastle, a full value for this 2-goal lead. It's Dummett's first goal in over 5 years. He hasn't scored for Newcastle since January 2016. Well, he has now, and it's a hugely important goal, both at the top and bottom end of the Premier League. Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Brilliant for Paul Dummett. January 2016, his last goal. You can see when the way he was mobbed by his teammates. It's a popular goal as well amongst the Newcastle players. As I say, you know, Leicester have seen so much of the ball in this first half, but you would not begrudge Newcastle this 2-goal lead. They've really played it well. And they look a threat every time they come forward. Leicester look nervy, they look shaken by the fact that they lost Johnny Evans in the warm-up, which is understandable, of course. But they need to dig deep and improve. They had a match like this, didn't they, against West Ham a few weeks ago, where they were 3-0 down after 48 minutes. Got it back to 3-2, but that wasn't enough. As Iheanacho finds Maddison, might be a chance for Leicester. Maddison's shot lacked power and it was blocked easily by Kraft. Leicester will come again with Albrighton down the left-hand side, crossing towards Vardy. It comes to Iheanacho, saved by Dubravka and cleared by Dummett. It's a roller coaster game, this. Leicester desperately trying to get themselves back into it. First effort either of their strikers have had really in the match, and Dubravka again, like the Fofana header a few minutes ago, a save you would expect him to make, but one he certainly had to get down to. Leicester could really do with a goal in the final 9 minutes of this first half. They've had 63% possession in the game so far, but Newcastle are 2-0 up and have had by far and away the best other opportunity in the game as well. If you think back to when it was 0-0, Alan St. Maximin's close range strike that was brilliantly saved by Kasper Schmeichel. Maddison now for Leicester, into Iheanacho, edge of the area, he's juggling with the ball. Fernandes picks his pocket. Leicester will come again though. Tielemans, challenged by St. Maximin, brilliant from St. Maximin, wins the ball back, releases Wilson. The Newcastle counter-attacks on again. Wilson up against Soyuncu and Fofana. Fofana gets back in with a block just as Wilson was pulling back that right leg to unleash an effort towards goal. The game is really stretched though at the moment. Albrighton now bringing it forward for Leicester. He appears to have shaken off that knock he picked up a few minutes ago. Tielemans up to Maddison, who heads it into the area. Cleared by Fernandes. Almiron helps it forward towards St. Maximin. Can't quite gather the bouncing ball. Ndidi now for Leicester. Castagna feeds it forward to Iheanacho, can turn 40 yards from goal. Almiron gets back with a really good challenge though. Good work from Miguel Almiron. Ritchie now, closed down by Ricardo, loses the ball, but Ricardo ran out of room down that right hand side. I think he felt he was being fouled by Ritchie, but the assistant, who was right there on top of the action, felt differently, and it will just be a goal kick. Leicester 0, Newcastle 2 then. Speaking of this being a blow to Leicester's Champions League hopes, well, it would also be a blow for the likes of Fulham and West Brom, their faint hopes of surviving in the Premier League. And they're getting even fainter at this moment in time. At the moment, Newcastle will be moving up to 13th in the standings, a rise of 4 positions. And they'd be 12 points clear of safety, with Fulham in 18th place only having a maximum of 12 points left to play for. It would effectively, to all intensive purposes, make Newcastle safe. They could be safe if, of course, Fulham don't win against Burnley on Monday night. That would be confirming Newcastle's safety. Which looked in real jeopardy just a few weeks ago. Everyone was talking about that game Newcastle would have with Fulham on the final day as being a potential decider. It's a long way off being that at this moment in time. There's Ricardo Pereira for Leicester, into Castagna. Fofana now floats it out to the left-hand side. Maddison will gather. He was so lively, James Maddison, in the opening few minutes of the game. Been stifled really by Newcastle ever since. Castagna will cross into the box towards Vardy. Important flick away there from Emil Kraft. Took it away from Jamie Vardy, and that That will go behind though for another Leicester corner. Tielemans, thought he was going to trot across and take it, and yeah, he will leave it for. Mark Albrighton will now leave it for the Belgian. Soyuncu, Fofana forward from the back. 5.5 minutes of the opening 45 still to go. Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Tielemans floats it towards the far post. Murphy got up well there, gets it away from Fofana, and there could be another counter-attack on for Newcastle. But Willock's route forward was stopped by the body check from Ricardo Pereira, but Newcastle have taken the free kick really quickly. Too quickly, says the referee, who's actually going to pull it back. They were trying to release Alan St-Maximin down the right-hand side. Newcastle actually benefiting from the referee pulling it back there because the pass just had too much on it for the Frenchman. But they'll get a second bite of the cherry, and they're just going to go for a more methodical approach, it would seem now, if Dubravka coming 5 yards out of his penalty area to take this free kick. As you can imagine, he's not in as much rush now as he clips the ball out towards the right hand side. Murphy again showing a good aerial threat in the air. There's a throw in for his side off Mark Albrighton. Murphy sends the throw on to St-Maximin, who's challenged by Ndidi. Ball up towards Iheanacho, but he has his pocket picked. It's just not sticking up there really for Leicester at the moment. They cannot get Kelechi Iheanacho or Jamie Vardy involved in this game. Newcastle passing the ball around those two strikers. Kraft to St-Maximin, who returns it to the Swede. Back it goes to Dubravka. Ball forward. Wilson holds off Soyuncu, gets it off Willock. Soyuncu gets back with a toe, but Willock can continue coming forward down the right hand side. He's driving towards goal. There was no one in the middle. He's done well there. Willock again means a corner for his side off Wesley Fofana. Joe Willock is the standout performer in this match so far for Newcastle. You wouldn't know it from Steve Bruce's face, but he must be delighted inside with this first half performance. He set his team up perfectly on the counter-attack, and it's really, really paid off so far. Newcastle going in search of a third goal now with this corner. Ritchie, the man who took the corner that led to Paul Dummett's goal a few minutes ago, again standing over the ball. Dummett, one of the players forward from the back once more, taking his place in the 6-yard box. It's aimed in there by Ritchie. Flick clear by Ndidi. Back it goes to the corner taker. He'll whip another dangerous looking ball towards the far post, just too far for Fernandez. It's forced to be turned behind again. It came off Castagne's head, and then Fofana under pressure turned it behind for a corner. Newcastle are pinning Leicester back at this moment in time. I mentioned Leicester could do with a goal back before the half-time break. At this moment in time, I think Brendan Rodgers would just be happy to get in at 2-0 down, so he can get a message onto his players and try and get them to regroup. Johnny Evans, again, the camera panning to him. He looks thoroughly fed up watching on the sidelines. As the corner comes in from the Newcastle left, it drops on the volley for Almiron. It's up into the air from him. In fact, it's not going out of play. Schmeichel has to try and deal with it. He punches it under pressure from Callum Wilson, and eventually it is cleared up field, and that's a good flick from Iheanacho into the path of Maddison, who turns away from Almiron, holds on to possession on the halfway line, waits for some support. Not in too much of a hurry to get forward there, Leicester. Maddison will now clip it out to Ricardo Pereira, who momentarily finds himself on the left-hand side. Ball down the line to Vardy. Back it goes to Ricardo. Ndidi, almost a heavy touch there, allowed St-Maximin to pinch in, but Leicester will continue to come forward. Maddison's ball around the corner to Jamie Vardy, left-hand side, low cross cut out by Fernandez at the front post, and this clearance goes out to play for a throw-in. Not sure if Ricardo Pereira has switched to the left-hand side, actually. Him and Albrighton may have swapped over. He's certainly over there for the time being, the Portuguese. It's Wesley Fofana in possession, finds Castagna. Albrighton on the right-hand flank. Back in it goes to Timothy Castagna. Fofana to Soyuncu. All three Leicester centre-backs midway inside. Newcastle's half. That's a nice give and go between Ricardo and Vardy. Ricardo's cross. Again, it's Fernandes there to theatrically head clear. Leicester will look to probe again, but Ndidi hasn't quite had his passing range in this evening. The ball was behind Mark Albrighton. Goes out to play for a throw-in. We're into the final 30 seconds of the opening 45. Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Matt Ritchie in no hurry to get on with this throw-in. It's going to be a huge 15 minutes of the half-time break, though, for Brendan Rodgers. Let's try and turn his side's fortunes around. Although Vardy, he might have a chance now. Vardy tries to lift it over Dubravka after some Newcastle hesitancy at the back. But Dubravka stood strong and denied Jamie Vardy a route to goal. It was a good piece of goalkeeping. Maddison flicked the ball forward. Fernandes and Kraft both just hesitated, and it allowed Vardy to nip in. But he was denied by Dubravka, standing big and strong. As we're into 1 minute of stoppage time at the end of the first half. Albrighton down the right hand side. That's a brilliant challenge back, though, from Jacob Murphy. Turns out play for a throw-in. What a big moment that could prove, that Dubravka save, though, from Vardy. Vardy was just trying to lift it over the goalkeeper. The ball was bouncing at awkward heights, so he couldn't really get a shot away, Vardy, properly. So he wanted to lift it over Dubravka and then try and nudge it in behind the goalkeeper. But Dubravka stayed big and read the situation well. Maddison for Leicester clips the ball into the box, cleared by Ritchie, only as far as Ndidi. Squeezed out to the right hand side. Albrighton will look to cross. It's blocked by Ritchie. Albrighton feels it hit the hand of the Newcastle winger, but that proves irrelevant as the referee blows his half-time whistle, and it's a shock scoreline at the King Power Stadium. Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake from Kagla Soyuncu at the back, and then Paul Dummett heading home from a Matt Ritchie corner, his first goal in over 5 years. And that's why at half-time it is Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St-Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St-Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St-Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St-Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St-Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power, it's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kaglar Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu before lashing home left-footed. Then Newcastle were 2 up on 34 minutes. Matt Ritchie's corner headed home from close range by Paul Dummett for his first goal in over 5 years. Alan St Maximin was denied as well for Newcastle, with the score at 0-0 by a superb save from Kasper Schmeichel, and Martin Dubravka has saved importantly from Jamie Vardy at the other end. Shock scoreline at the King Power. It's Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Joe Willock opened the scoring on 22 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by Kagla Soyuncu. Right, we'll just draw that one to a quick conclusion because the second half is just getting underway at the King Power Stadium. I'm Tom McGarry, and I'll be talking you through the rest of this evening's coverage. We'll bring you independent off-tube studio commentary of what is the opening match of this Premier League weekend. And at the moment, there is a shock result in store because Newcastle lead Champions League chasing Leicester by 2-0. Joe Willock and Paul Dummett with the goals in the first half. Alan St Maximin missed probably the game's best other opportunity as well for Newcastle, who were full value for their lead going into the second half. Leicester was sluggish and looked off the pace despite dominating the ball in that first period, and they will need a big response in this second half. Jamie Vardy had their best chance of the first period right on the stroke of half-time. The second half is underway then. Leicester in their all-blue kit going from right to left in this second half. Newcastle in their luminous yellow change colours. It's James Maddison for Leicester down the left-hand side. Forced backwards to Kagla Soyuncu. Newcastle was so well set up in that first half on the counter-attack. Looked such a threat when they broke forward. They've got Almiron, St Maximin, Wilson, and of course Joe Willock as well, who was the game's best player in the first half, all working in tandem. They can be a real threat when they attack. And Leicester haven't been able to live with that. Leicester, of course, lost Johnny Evans in the warm-up just 10 minutes before kick-off for this game. To rearrange, Timothy Castagna going into the back three, Mark Albrighton coming into the starting lineup, and it just hasn't quite worked. No changes incidentally made at the break by either manager. There's James Maddison drifting from the left-hand side again for Leicester City. Rolls it into Fofana. Of course, it goes to Castagna. Beckons Iheanacho towards him before rolling the ball into the striker, who turns, lifts the ball into the box. Maddison flicks it towards goal. It lands on the roof of the net. It was a good ball in from Kelechi Iheanacho. James Maddison not renowned for his heading ability, and it was a bit of a looping effort as he tried to flick it on towards goal. He's down holding his face at the moment, actually, Maddison. He was just caught in the aftermath by Emil Kraft as he flicked it on. He flicked it on, turned to have a look at where the header was going, and Kraft kind of ran into him. Maddison is back on his haunches, but just got poked in the eye, which of course will be painful. He's seemingly okay though and doesn't need to receive treatment. Had his fair share of injury issues of late, the England international. It's been a nightmare evening though so far for Leicester City, losing Johnny Evans to injury and then conceding those 2 goals in a very poor first half display. This play will now resume with the goal kick for Newcastle, 3 minutes into the second half. Dubravka feints to go short. Ritchie wanted that. You can see Matt Ritchie screaming at his goalkeeper, but Dubravka will now go long. Cleared away by Undidi. In fact, it might go over the top to Vardy. Fernandes makes sure it didn't. But Leicester will look to... I thought they were going to be able to spring forward again there with Tielemans, but actually the offside flag has been belatedly raised against Jamie Vardy. Who thought he was going to half the deficit for Leicester on the stroke of half-time. Nipped in between Federico Fernandes and Emil Kraft, but Martin Dubravka stood strong and made an important save. As Vardy will try and gather the ball there, but this time he's been penalised for a handball. Free kick to Newcastle. Fernandes takes it short to Kraft. St. Maximin twisting away from Undidi. That's great feet from Alan St. Maximin. Then runs into a little bit of trouble, but his pass just about squirms off to Shelvey. Murphy down the right hand side now for Newcastle United, taking on Undidi. Low first time cross into a dangerous area. Just Callum Wilson couldn't quite make up the ground, and Schmeichel was able to gather, but Jacob Murphy, another Newcastle player, having a good game in this match. I mentioned in the first half, he seems to have recreated himself as a wing back. Didn't seem to have much of a future at Newcastle until this season, and been a really important player, certainly over the second half of the campaign. I think I'm right in saying he's still yet to sign a new contract, so interesting to see if he does commit his future to the club. But if he is to leave Newcastle, then you imagine 1 or 2 Premier League teams would be interested, whilst 6 months or so ago, if you'd have said that, you'd probably have had to have been looking solely in the Championship. As Iheanacho lifts the ball over the top for Leicester, looking for Vardy on the angle. Vardy helps it into the penalty area. It's deflected into the air though off Emil Kraft and into the grateful hands of Dubravka. Dubravka just bowls the ball out to Federico Fernandes. The only out-and-out centre-back in the Newcastle team this evening. Kieran Clark only fit enough to take a place on the bench. Kraft and Dummett more primarily full-backs, although they have played as centre-backs times this season. As Maddison for Leicester floats out to Albrighton on the left hand side. He rolls it back to Kaglar Soyuncu. Fofana out to Castagna. Now Ricardo Pereira goes back towards Timothy Castagna. Maddison, he's the player that Leicester need to try and get on the ball as much as possible. Soyuncu keeps it moving out to Albrighton, who tucks it into Undidi. Cross takes a deflection, could have looped over the head of Martin Dubravka, but the goalkeeper was able to gather. Leicester probing at the start of this second half, but so far can't lay too much of a glove on Newcastle United's resilient looking defence. Dubravka will just roll the ball out to Shelvey. Kraft will clip the ball down the right hand side, but a wayward ball that from the Swede. A straight out play for a throw in. Albrighton takes. Come back across to the left hand side. That's where he spent the majority of the first half, Mark Albrighton, but at the end of the opening 45 he did swap with Ricardo Pereira. Fofana now out to Maddison for Leicester. Dropping deep to try and get things going from a Fox's point of view. Castagna to Ricardo Pereira. Infield it goes to Jamie Vardy. Turns back towards the halfway line. Fofana will stride forward and with a bit more purpose clips it out towards the left-hand flank. It just about has the legs to reach Albrighton, who's supported by Maddison. Iheanacho, back to James Maddison it goes. He'll lift the ball into the penalty area, headed away by Fernandez. Bouncing around on the edge of the Newcastle penalty area, and there's a foul actually being given in Leicester's favour. Not sure if it's Wilson or Shelvey who's been penalised. They were both around Yuri Tielemans as the ball bobbled around on the edge of the box, and I think it is Wilson who just ran into Tielemans. It's a cheap free kick to give away right on the edge of the area, left of centre. It's perfect for James Maddison, really. About 22, 23 yards out. Only James Ward-Prowse has scored more direct free kick goals in the Premier League since Maddison joined Leicester in 2018. 5 the Leicester midfielder has got during that time. About 22 yards out, as I say, left of centre. It's only James Maddison standing over the ball. It's a 5-man Newcastle wall with a 2-man Leicester wall positioned just in front of them. Tielemans and Ndidi are in that. No man lying down behind the Newcastle wall as Maddison strikes, it deflects. Maddison puts his hands to his head. It's a really good effort. Whipped with pace, and yeah, it kind of took a double ricochet off Fernandez and Shelvey in the wall. And goes wide for the corner, which Tielemans will take. Can Leicester get themselves back into this game? Tielemans in swinging delivery towards the far post, headed towards goal, just wide of the target by Wilfred Ndidi. Second Leicester player in the space of a few seconds put his hands on his head. It was a great delivery in from Tielemans. Ndidi got away from Callum Wilson, his marker, and he's only inches away from finding the bottom corner. Still Leicester 0, Newcastle 2, but it's been a good response from Leicester at the start of this second half. They've played with much more intensity and created a couple of chances. First of all, James Maddison with a curling free kick from the edge of the area, which deflected just wide of the top left-hand corner. And from that resulting corner, Yuri Tielemans delivered to the far post. And Wilfred Ndidi, it was a really accurate-looking header towards the bottom corner, but it just bounced wide of the target, agonisingly so from a Fox's point of view. It remains Leicester 0, Newcastle 2. Leicester now back in their own defensive third. Albrighton and Soyuncu combining to hook the ball clear towards the halfway line. It breaks to Maddison, who can't quite squeeze it through to Yuri Tielemans. Albrighton there again, though, and he's a little bit wayward with his pass. Presents it straight to Matt Ritchie. Newcastle's turn to come forward. Almiron down the left-hand side, supported by Ritchie. Early first-time cross, too close to Kasper Schmeichel, who can quickly gather and just as quickly distribute the ball out to Wilfred Ndidi to get Leicester going once again. It's Albrighton and Vardy down the left-hand side. Lovely ball from Albrighton, and Vardy has been rather crudely taken down by Emil Kraft. That will be the first yellow card of the contest. Kraft can't really have any complaints. He was just done by the pace of Vardy. Not the first player who's suffered that fate, and the accuracy of the ball as well, it has to be said, from Mark Albrighton. Could be another free kick to Leicester then in a dangerous area. On the left-hand side, Kraft's fourth booking of the season. Too wide for a direct strike on goal on this occasion for Leicester, but a chance to deliver good ball into the box. Soyuncu, Castagna, Fofana all forward from the back. Maddison and Tielemans are standing over the ball. Just wonder if Yuri Tielemans is going to shift this to James Maddison to change the angle so he can have a shot, just judging by the body positions of both players. But no, that's a decoy. Tielemans whips it straight into the box, headed away by Fernandez. Ricardo helps it back into the area. Ball drops to the feet of Iheanacho, who lashes over, but the referee had already blown for a foul on Joe Willock at the edge of the box. Willock looks to be in a degree of discomfort, actually. May need to receive some treatment. Ball bounced towards the edge of the area, and he just got an important toe in ahead of Wilfred Ndidi, who don't think realised he was coming on his blind side and just kicked through on the back of Willock's leg. Willock is okay and back on his feet, which is good to see. Free kick will be taken by Dubravka. Leicester
do have plenty of options on their bench, including Jose Perez, who joined the Foxes from Newcastle and actually scored the winning goal the last time Newcastle won in this fixture, a 1-0 victory at the King Power back in April 2019. It was then Rafael Benitez's side. He's one of the most likely candidates to come on for Leicester if Brendan Rodgers wants to change it from an attacking set. Dennis Pratt could come on as well. Fresh legs in the midfield. Cengiz Under, also an attacking option, although he's dropped out of favour of late as Iheanacho brings the ball forward for Leicester. Finds Ndidi. Albrighton, left-hand side, early cross. Again, Fernandez has done that so many times, is there to head clear, and you imagine he'll have to do it a lot more between now and the full-time whistle, Federico Fernandez. Soyuncu for Leicester, sweeping ball across towards Castagna, but it's good tenacity from Almiron to get a toe in. Leicester will come again. It's with Fofana. Steve Bruce out on the edge of his technical area, barking instructions to his players, making sure they don't drop the discipline they've shown, the resilience they've shown so far in this match. As a long ball forward by Soyuncu has too much on it for Kelechi Iheanacho. Brendan Rodgers deep in conversation with his coaching team, and he looks like he's beckoning a substitute towards him, so it appears as we approach the hour mark that Leicester will make a change. Can't quite see who Rodgers is trying to call towards him at the moment, but with 14 minutes of the second half gone, Rodgers is ready to make the first move, and it is going to be, it would seem, Jose Perez, who's taking on instructions from his manager as play goes on with Miguel Almiron for Newcastle. Down to the left-hand side with Ritchie, who's supported by Paul Dummett. Good ball forward from him towards Wilson. Fofana just gets above Callum Wilson and nods it out of play for a throw-in. Paul Dummett, who was mentioned in the first half, it's his first goal in 5 years for Newcastle. His first goal since netting in a 3-3 draw with Manchester United at St James's Park back in January 2016. There's Alan St Maximan for Newcastle. Sweeps it out towards Ritchie on the left-hand side. Early cross from Matt Ritchie. Takes a deflection. Headed away by Fofana. Comes back to Newcastle though with Almiron down the left-hand side. Can't find a way beyond Castagna. Ricardo does well to keep it in play. Castagna now forward to Madison. Lay off to Ndidi. Leicester will look to open the space out on the left-hand side now with Mark Albrighton. Clip ball down the line. Vardy held up by Kraft, and the presence there of Kraft was enough to force the mistake from Jamie Vardy. Couldn't quite get it under control as Perez is now stripped and ready for action. His introduction is imminent. Just wondering if it'll be a change in formation from Leicester. Will they take off one of their forward players, or will it be sacrificing a midfielder? Maybe Mark Albrighton came in as that 11th hour replacement for Johnny Evans into the starting 11. I do feel that Leicester probably don't need to be playing the back three at this stage if they need to really try and commit bodies forward. Certainly taking their time with getting those instructions on to Jose Perez. As Newcastle have possession. Shelvey lifts the ball forward, one for Wilson to chase down the right-hand channel. He's tracked by Fofana, who puts in a really good challenge, actually. That's good defending from Wesley Fofana. He does really well down a really tight space to get the ball down the line to Albrighton, who is under a lot of pressure and just about digs out a pass to Soyuncu. Castagna now. Keeps the ball moving out to the right-hand flank with Ricardo. Fofana now back in the centre of the defence. There's Ndidi inside the centre circle. Still the conversation between Brendan Rodgers and Jose Perez is going on the sidelines. Tielemans, that's a proactive ball forward to Vardy, who clips it towards Iheanacho. Dummett at full stretch is able to cut it out, and Ritchie hooks it out to play for a throw-in. And that will signal the introduction of Jose Perez. The number 17 is going to replace Wilfred Ndidi. Ndidi will go off then, the defensive midfielder. He's not had his best game in truth in terms of his retention of the ball. He's given it away a few times, so he's gone off and Perez is coming on. That means Tielemans will go into a deeper role. There's a lot of the emphasis actually on Yuri Tielemans to hold at the back, but I suppose he will still have those three central defenders behind him. Unless there is a tinkering of the formation as well from Leicester City. Tielemans is in possession. Finds Maddison. James Maddison drifted in from the left-hand side. Castagna now. Out towards the substitute Perez. First involvement for him. Fofana. Finds Soyuncu. That's the two Leicester centre-backs. 40 yards from the Newcastle goal in open play. Maddison now. Trying to whip the ball into the feet of Ricardo, excuse me, controlled well. But then on his pocket, picked by Ritchie, who looks to release a ball in behind for Wilson, who will give chase. Castagna can't get there. Wilson round Schmeichel and into the back of the net. It is another superb counter-attacking goal from Newcastle United. Ritchie with the early ball round the corner. Wilson putting the pressure on Castagna, who couldn't quite get there. He was off balance, slid in, tried to toe poke it back to Schmeichel, couldn't get enough on it. Wilson got there first. He rounded the goalkeeper and finds the back of the net. That all coming from Leicester pressing at the other end. Ricardo robbed by Ritchie on the edge of the box. Ritchie's first time release ball. Castagna makes a bit of a mess of it. Wilson certainly doesn't. And Newcastle are surely on their way to what at the start of the night would have seemed a very unlikely 3 points. Newcastle now lead Leicester by 3-0. It is another superb counter-attacking goal by the visitors. Matt Ritchie picking the pocket of Ricardo Pereira on the edge of his own penalty area. Early release ball down the left-hand channel. Castagna and Wilson gave chase. The Leicester defender got there first, but he didn't get enough on his attempted toe back to goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel. Wilson kept running, rounded the goalkeeper and provided a real cool finish. Newcastle surely on their way to an unlikely 3 points. Leicester 0, Newcastle 3. And Newcastle are coming forward again now. Jacob Murphy to Alan St-Maximin. Pulled back towards the edge of the area, but there was no one in yellow there. Perez is able to get back. But what a story this is. Leicester 0, Newcastle 3. Leicester perhaps going a little bit too gun-ho at times in this game, and particularly with that third goal. And it's proved costly as they come forward again. Maddison can't squeeze it through to her teammate. Fernandez once again is there to clear for Newcastle United. They lead this match by 3-0. Ricardo Pereira now for Leicester, trying to get something going now, the Foxes, in this match. Albrighton clips it out towards Perez, who's taken up a position on the right-hand side, brings it down. He's out-muscled, though, by Almiron. Two of the 3 Leicester goals certainly coming from mistakes. Another one from the set piece. That will not make Brendan Rodgers pleased, as he's blown his whistle. Almiron's down on the floor, getting helped to his feet by Dummett. I think it's just a free kick, although Ritchie's actually down off the ball as well. He was hobbling a little bit in the first half, and he's on his haunches at the moment. Gingerly getting back to his feet. I think he is okay. One or two of the players using the opportunity to take on a little bit of water. Callum Wilson. Had quite a quiet night, really, in a lot of ways, despite his side 3-0 up, but getting that third goal there in typical striking fashion. He'll still fancy his chances of breaking back into Gareth Southgate's England squad in time for the Euros. As he gets a touch of the ball there, finds Murphy. Shelvey down the channel, but Willock this time was caught on his heels. Soyuncu brings it forward. Maddison. Iheanacho nutmegs Shelvey. Maddison now to Timothy Castagna. Leicester are preparing another substitution. We come close to the midway point in this second half. Leicester 0, Newcastle 3. Castagna to Ricardo Pereira. Ooh, strong challenge from Shelvey on Perez, but he got plenty of the ball. Referee happy for play to continue. Newcastle then want a free kick for a foul on Wilson, but again, Darren England waves play on. Iheanacho away from Willock. Maddison back to Kelechi Iheanacho, gets a shot away, it's blocked. It will squirm out to Albrighton on the corner of the area. He's trying to work an angle, he wants to come in on that right foot. Murphy aware of that. Tielemans now for Leicester, he will have a shot. Blocked by Fernandez, who else? And Shelvey hooks the ball clear. Wilson jostling with Albrighton, it's Leicester who come away with it. And Mark Albrighton now pops up on the right hand side, pulls it back to Perez, who strikes towards goal, and Dubravka at full stretch turns it behind from a corner. That was better from Leicester City though. It was good as well from Martin Dubravka, not for the first time. Full stretch of his right hand, tips it behind. As we are going to see this change now for Leicester City. Ricardo Pereira is coming off and Luke Thomas is coming on. It was the change that Leicester made to their initial starting lineup this evening, but Thomas, a natural left footer, will go to the left hand side. You'd imagine Albrighton to the right as Tielemans lifts the corner into the box, headed away by Fernandez. Maddison gives Thomas his first touch. He puts a decent looking cross. Fofana gets his head to it. It was possibly in an offside position. Doesn't matter anyway because the ball just bounces harmlessly into the grasp of Dubravka. Just over 69 minutes have been played. Leicester 0, Newcastle 3. Newcastle on the brink of guaranteeing their Premier League status for another season. If they win this game, they won't definitely be safe, but they'll be 12 points clear of the drop, with just 12 points left for Fulham, the side in 18th position to play for. And it would move the Magpies up to 13th in the standings, above Burnley, above Southampton, above Brighton, and above Crystal Palace. For Leicester, they'd remain third, but Chelsea could leapfrog them this weekend. West Ham could close within 2 points. Tottenham 4. Liverpool, with their games in hand, they have 2 games in hand, remember, could get to within 3. It would all be getting very tight. And don't forget Leicester's final 3 games of the season: away to Manchester United, away to Chelsea, and at home to Tottenham. Difficult few weeks coming up, and in the midst of that as well, Leicester will also face Chelsea in the FA Cup on May the 15th. Camera just panning to Matt Ritchie again. He does seem to be struggling. Steve Bruce may be forced into his first change. Soyuncu brings the ball forward for Leicester. On the left-hand side, the centre-back delivers a good-looking cross as well. Vardy gets up really well. Iheanacho trying to turn it towards goal. Would never really fall for him in the penalty area. And Fernandez was there to clear. Leicester will look to come again, though. Tielemans to Perez. Iheanacho, all very tight and central at the moment for the Foxes. Iheanacho strikes towards goal, easily blocked away by Fernandez. Almiron down the left-hand side. That's good feet from Almiron, and he's brought down by a lunging challenge by Kelechi Iheanacho, who will be showing a yellow card. Just done by the quick footwork there of Miguel Almiron. Just nicked in ahead of Iheanacho. It was just he knew he'd given the ball away initially. Iheanacho, one of those where you're desperately trying to atone for the error. It's his first yellow card of the season. And in such good form, Iheanacho, but had one effort in the first half that was saved by Dubravka. Wasn't an easy chance, and that's the only opportunity he's really had. Jamie Vardy had that good chance at the end of the first half as well, but again, one chance apiece for Leicester's 2 main goal threats. Not really enough, you would suggest. As play resumes, Soyuncu to Tielemans. Back with Kaglar Soyuncu, carries the ball over the halfway line for Leicester City. Feeds the pass into Iheanacho. Tried to ease it round the corner, didn't quite come off. Fernandez for Newcastle. Clip ball, more of a percentage ball over the top. Willock gives chase. Has he kept that in there, Joe Willock? He has. That's brilliant from him. Soyuncu felt he was being fouled. Willock finds St. Maximan. Almiron edge of the area. Holds onto it perhaps a little bit too long. Leicester have got players back. Newcastle still in possession, no. Richie goes back towards Miguel Almiron. Of course, the Magpies don't really need to force the issue at the moment, and they're happy to just recycle possession. It does look like there is a Newcastle change being readied in the background. Federico Fernandez to Kraft. Flicked in by Murphy. Shelvey steps away from Tielemans on the halfway line. Keeps the ball moving out towards the left. Almiron. Good looking ball from Almiron. Brilliant ball from Almiron. Wilson's in behind. And Wilson kills it off the inside of the post. It comes back to the striker. And he finds the back of the net. And would you believe it? It's Leicester 0. Newcastle 4. 2 for Callum Wilson now in this second half. Almiron's through ball to Wilson. Off the post. But the rebound was coolly converted into the back of the net by the England international. It's a good ball from Almiron. He had too much time to assess his options. And Wilson did the rest. And this was not a scoreline anyone was expecting. Even in Steve Bruce's wildest dreams, he couldn't imagine, with 16.5 minutes left to play, that his side would be 4-0 to the good. Newcastle lead Leicester by 4-0. Callum Wilson with his second of the game. Miguel Almiron had so much time on the ball. Really poor from Leicester's point of view. Almiron slotted it through to Wilson. His first touch was good. He tried to curl it with his right foot beyond Schmeichel. The ball cannoned back off the inside of the post, but it came straight back to Wilson, who provided the first time finish to put Newcastle 4 to the good at Champions League chasing Leicester. Leicester 0, Newcastle 4. Sean Longstaff is about to come on for Newcastle, but I think he's just been told to sit back down by Steve Bruce for the time being. As Maddison wriggling his way forward for Leicester straight from the kickoff, but his attempted shot was blocked. There have been so many blocks put in by Newcastle players in this match. I mentioned Federico Fernandez. He really has marshalled the troops brilliantly at the heart of that defence. Leicester look to come forward again. This is the pattern of the game. Leicester dominating the ball, probing, but not finding a way through. And then Newcastle just springing counter-attacks in brilliant fashion. And they're doing that again now. Murphy out to St. Maximin on the left-hand side. He's got time once more on the ball. Feeds it to Willock, who thought was going to strike from long range. Instead, he dinks the ball into the box. Can't find Wilson, who's, of course, on a hat-trick now. Fofana makes sure of that. And Willock's actually gone down and looks to be in some distress. It's the referee's discretion if he wants to stop play. Leicester are going to continue. Vardy into the penalty area. Gets a shot away, blocked behind by Kraft for a corner. And ooh, Joe Willock looks like he's grabbing the back of his right hamstring there, which would be a concern for Steve Bruce. I wonder if Sean Longstaff might have been coming on for Willock. Hopefully it's just cramp more than anything. He just grabs at the back of it after dinking that cross into the box. Hopefully, as I say, it is cramp rather than he's twinged a muscle. If he has twinged in, it did turn out to be that he was the man going to be replaced by Longstaff. That would be really bad luck, both from Willock and Newcastle's point of view. Just the way the trainer is stretching things out, though, it looks like it is more of a touch of cramp for Willock, who hasn't started too many games of late, was ineligible to face his parent club Arsenal last weekend. What a difference a week makes. What a difference 5 days, actually. It was last Sunday that Newcastle put in that drab performance to lose 2-0 at home to Arsenal. This has been a brilliant showing, though, as Leicester are going to take James Maddison off. Such as the comprehensive nature of the scoreline. Almost going to rest Maddison and protect him because he has been an injury concern. Longstaff is coming on for Willock, incidentally. I think it's Nampali's Mendy who's replacing Maddison. Not his night, not Leicester's night. He trudges off towards the bench there, James Maddison. But Sean Longstaff on for Joe Willock and Nampali's Mendy on for James Maddison. The resulting corner from Leicester is cleared away by Callum Wilson. St. Maximin trying to spring another counter-attack, and all of a sudden Wilson, who headed the ball clear, is up on the halfway line. Just confirmation it is Mendy on for Maddison. He's got his first touch there. The substitute finds Tielemans. Soyuncu gets it back off Luke Thomas. Fofana now. Gets the ball moving out to Castagna. Castagna gets it back off Iheanacho. Could be a confidence-sapping lot as well for Leicester, given the comprehensive nature of the scoreline. Iheanacho whips a dangerous-looking cross into the box, and Tielemans had made the run, flicks it towards goal. Decent effort on the stretch from Youri Tielemans. A decent ball in as well from Kelechi Iheanacho. He's unlucky, Tielemans there, just lifted it over the top. He was claiming there might have been a touch off Emil Kraft, but I think it goes over by virtue of the Leicester midfielder's right boot. 12 minutes plus stoppage time to play at the end of the match. Just seen Joe Willock's made his way round to the technical area now, and he gets a big hug off Steve Bruce and the rest of the Newcastle coaching team. He has put in a brilliant performance and got the ball rolling, and judging by the big smile on his face, I think it is just cramp rather than anything untoward in terms of an injury. What a difference in the body language. Joe Willock coming off compared to James Maddison. He's frustrated by the way things have gone for Leicester this evening as Thomas goes back towards Soyuncu. Now Nampali's Mendy finds Fofana, who strides forward from centre-back, and that's a good raking pass out towards the left-hand side to find Thomas, who twists away from Murphy, delivers across. Vardy, 7 yards out, can't get a shot away. He tees up Castagna, who can, and he rifles the ball into the roof of the net. It's Mark Albrighton, in fact, who's delivered the goal. Vardy's layoff, and Albrighton hammers the ball. There's a bit of frustration. Top corner, no chance for Dubravka. And Leicester have at least something to show from the game. I wonder if it takes a little deflection actually on the way through as well that just takes it beyond Martin Dubravka. Vardy's layoff. Iheanacho lets it run. No, it's straight in off the boot of Albrighton. Cuts across it brilliantly. And Leicester at least have something to take from this game. Leicester have pulled a goal back. Surely it's a consolation goal, but it's a brilliant goal from Mark Albrighton. Leicester 1, Newcastle 4. Luke Thomas down the left-hand side. Cut it back to Jamie Vardy. Edge of the 6-yard box. He had his back to goal. Laid it off towards Albrighton, who lashed it with plenty of venom with his right foot, slicing across it. Always taking the ball away from Martin Dubravka and into the top corner of the net. Surely it's too little too late for Leicester, but they have at least got a goal on the board. It's Leicester 1, Newcastle 4. Yeah, red goal for Mark Albrighton. But it has got Leicester City back into this game. In some regard, anyway. I think 3 goals in 10 minutes is probably too much to ask. We did see West Ham come from 3-0 down to draw 3-3 with Tottenham earlier in the season with about 8 minutes to go. And of course, Newcastle themselves, that famous 4-0 comeback, they were 4-0 down to Arsenal with about 20 minutes to go, 25 minutes to go, back in 2011 at St James's Park to draw 4-4. Chetiote scoring that memorable equaliser. Even this would beat that in terms of how little time Leicester would have to come back. Leicester 1, Newcastle 4, but they are probing the Foxes. Mendy, it's a poor ball back though from Nampali's Mendy to Luke Thomas, and that will add to the frustration. It goes straight out of play for a throw-in. Leicester 1, Newcastle 4. See, Bruce will be a little bit frustrated. The conceding and losing their clean sheet will just take a little bit of gloss off proceedings. Only a minor bit, I'd imagine. I think he would have taken, if you offered him 4-1 at the start of the game with 82 minutes on the clock, I'm pretty sure he would have taken that. I'm sure he'll be saying to his players that we should have kept the clean sheet at the end of the game. It's Kasper Schmeichel for Leicester. Plays it out to the goal scorer Albrighton, who clips a percentage ball down the line. Dummett will have to deal with it with Iheanacho breathing down his neck, and Dummett just clears the ball out of play for a throw-in. Credit to Leicester, they are not giving this up. Still playing with at least the intent to try and get back in this game. Soyuncu clips the ball into the box. It's a wayward header, that one from Dummett, but it does fall to Murphy, but he miscontrols. Vardy now might fancy a strike. He does, Jamie Vardy, on the angle, but never coming close really to finding that top right-hand corner. As we're going to see another Newcastle change. Joe Linton is going to come on. And it looks like Alan St. Maximin is going to come off. You know, if you'd said the Newcastle had scored 4 goals in this game, you'd have expected Alan St. Maximin to be heavily involved in at least some of them, but he hasn't really. He had that great chance that was saved brilliantly by Kasper Schmeichel in the first half, but Joe Willock, Callum Wilson with the double, and of course Paul Dummett as well have taken the plaudits in terms of the goals. Almiron Ritchie providing assists. Still such an important player, Alan St. Maximin, and he gets a well-earned rest now. Joe Linton coming on. Joe Linton, who did pick up a couple of goals of late, scored against Tottenham in a 2-2 draw back at the start of April. Although his goal scoring record since joining Newcastle in that club record deal from Hoffenheim nearly 2 years ago now is not great, although he does provide a lot of other attributes to the team. Battling for the ball in midfield, it's Jose Perez. This result will be hurting him against his former club. He's fouled by Shelby. Takes the free kick quickly for Fana. Worked out to Soyuncu down the left-hand side. Soyuncu infield to Wesley for Fana. Keeps it moving, Castagna. To Iheanacho, who is almost bustled off the ball by Dummett, but has managed to retain it. Fana, back out to Soyuncu it goes. Thomas. In field. Fafana, Albrighton's made the run from right to left. Fafana tries to find him, and in fairness to Ritchie there, he tracked it all the way and nudges it by him for a corner. He's not happy with his fellow defenders there for allowing the ball to come all that way. Newcastle with more defending to do from the set piece as we approach the final 5 minutes of the 90. Leicester 1, Newcastle 4. Albrighton's corner, low in towards Perez, blocked by Longstaff. Perez will get to the second ball though, turns away from Sean Longstaff into the penalty area. Jose Perez still going. It takes Kraft to come across and toe poke it behind for another Leicester City corner. Albrighton takes this one quickly. Back towards Mendy. Albrighton once more. Will he deliver? He will. In towards the front post, just too high for Perez. Headed clear by Kraft. Mendy gathers the pieces once again for Leicester. Thomas. Clip ball into the penalty area, but to no one in particular, and that'll run harmlessly through to Martin Dubravka, who just waits for Kelechi Iheanacho to jog across before picking the ball up. Made some crucial saves in this match, Martin Dubravka. In both halves, in truth, as he clips this ball forward towards Wilson, who's beaten in the air by Fafana. Breaks the way of Perez. Squeezes the ball away from Wilson, who fouled in. The referee will play an advantage. Iheanacho into the penalty area, trying to work onto his left foot. Drives towards goal. Drives into the bottom corner of the net. Well. It's another goal for Kelechi Iheanacho. It's another goal back for Leicester. The deficit is now just 2. And there's 4 minutes plus stoppage time left to play. Leicester have got another one back at the King Power Stadium. It's Leicester 2, Newcastle 4. And the greatest of all comebacks, well, maybe it is, just about on. The ball was squeezed forward by Jose Perez to Kelechi Iheanacho, who worked his way into the area, always wanted to get it onto his left foot. Once he managed to do that, he drilled it low into the near post, through a ruckus of bodies. Dubravka couldn't see it, couldn't get down to it, and Leicester have another one back. Leicester 2, Newcastle 4. So we're going to see another Newcastle change now to try and run down the clock and quell the momentum. Almiron's being replaced. Jeff Hendrick is on for him. Is there time for this unlikeliest of unlikely comebacks? Surely not, but, 4 goals in, 10 minutes or whatever it was earlier on, we hadn't seen before, but 2 goals in 3 minutes plus stoppage time, that's been done before. A draw actually would not be what Leicester wanted at the start of the night, but wow, they would bite your hand off for that now. And will the Newcastle nerves start settling in? Joe Linton bustled off the ball by Mendy there. Worked back into Nampalys Mendy from Luke Thomas. Stoppage time is going to be an interesting number. Oh, if Leicester could get another goal back, it would really send the nerves jangling. Castagna lifts it forward, headed clear by Fernandez. Shelvey gets to the loose ball ahead of Tielemans. The 2 number 8s coming together. Shelvey's clearance, though, goes straight out of play for a throw-in. Tielemans takes it down the line. Albrighton tees up Yuri Tielemans for a low cross. It's turned behind by Dummett for another corner. It's a bit panic stations now for Newcastle United. Tielemans will take the corner. Soyuncu, Castagna, Fofana, all forward from the back. It's lifted in by Tielemans towards the far post. Vardy and Soyuncu go for the same ball. Longstaff is able to lash it clear. Hendrick, the substitute, will give chase and just help the ball down the line. Anywhere will do. We're approaching the final minute of the 90. Leicester 2, Newcastle 4. Mendy. Word in field to Albrighton, who lifts the ball up, stands it towards Vardy in the box. Kraft beats him in the air. Thomas helps it back into the area. Cleared away this time by Fernandez. Soyuncu for Leicester. I'm wondering if perhaps he or Fofana will go up front for the final few minutes. They haven't at the moment. Castagna. Iheanacho. Back to Wesley Fofana. Soyuncu gives it infield to Perez, who's made a difference. Credit to him since coming on. Mendy. Back into Fofana. They're still being patient, Leicester, as much as they can. Soyuncu will lift the ball into the box, right-footed towards the far post. Oh, it's flicked off the head of Dummett. He could have let that go, but he wasn't aware of what was behind him. Asking for the shout there. Another cheap corner for Newcastle to concede. Steve Bruce looks worried. As well he might. Tielemans will take this corner. We're about to find out how much stoppage time we're going to have. Tielemans lifts it in towards the penalty spot. Headed clear by Fernandez. Mendy now. Ooh, has he shown too much of that to Emil Kraft? He has, but a free kick has been given against Kraft. He's a little bit over-exuberant in the challenge. 4 minutes of stoppage time we've ticked into, incidentally. Don't think there's going to be anything subtle about the way Leicester lift this into the box. Tielemans again standing over it. Central position, not a great angle, but needs must. He does lift it into the area, headed away by Fernandez. Only as far as Albrighton, who gets to the byline, delivers a cross that takes a deflection. Thomas heads it down. It comes to Perez. What a save, Dubravka, and cleared off the line by Dummett. That was the moment that would have got Leicester back into the game. But Perez, against his former club, denied by Dubravka. It comes to Albrighton on the right-hand side for Leicester. Whipped towards the far post. Vardy's header onto the roof of the net. But what a save from Martin Dubravka. Both goalkeepers, there's been 6 goals scored in this match. But both goalkeepers have made a string of really big saves as well. And Dubravka there from point-blank range stood big. Perez lashed it towards goal. Thought that's all he needed to do, but it's almost off the left underarm, the tricep of Martin Dubravka. What a brilliant piece of goalkeeping that is. Take his time with this goal kick. Had that gone in, 2 or 3 minutes of stoppage time still to play, that really would have set up the grandstand finish. Mendy for Leicester. Out to Thomas. His tempted ball down the line is blocked out for a throw by Jacob Murphy. Thomas takes the throw in back towards Soyuncu. 2 minutes of stoppage time remaining. Soyuncu's long ball forward. Crossfield ball cut out though by Ritchie. We've got a Newcastle counter-attack on. Joe Linton holding on to the ball effectively. Driving forward. Was he fouled by Tielemans? Yes, he was. That was Good hold-up play by Joe Linton. Drew the free kick. That will please his manager. Newcastle with just over 90 seconds of stoppage time remaining. You've got to suggest are almost there. Brendan Rodgers will be wondering where this kind of fight was. The attacking intent anyway from his side in the opening 80 minutes of the game. I wonder if John Joe Shelvey's fancying a shot from this position. It's fully 35 yards out. Leicester only put a one-man wall there. I think Shelvey's just going to lash this as hard as he can. If it flies in the top corner, that's great. And that's exactly what he does. And it's deflected behind off the head of Wesley Fofana. And it's a corner, and that will do. As far as John Joe Shelvey and Newcastle United are concerned. Shelvey himself is thinking about jogging across. No one's in a particular rush from the visitors to go and take this corner. But Newcastle are just about over the line now. The result is pretty much secure. It will take them 12 points clear of the relegation zone. Fulham can only match their points tally, and that's if Newcastle lose their remaining games and the Cottagers win all of theirs. Corner comes to nothing. Final few seconds of the match then. Kasper Schmeichel will launch this ball forward. Even if Leicester get a goal now, it's not going to be enough, and the clearance is headed back from where it came. Wilson will strike towards goal early, trying to catch Schmeichel off his line. Keeper comfortably saves, and he's now trying to launch attack. He lifts it up towards the edge of the penalty area, but the final whistle goes, and what a topsy-turvy, entertaining Friday night of Premier League action it was. The final score at the King Power Stadium, Leicester 2, Newcastle 4, a hammer blow to Leicester's Champions League hopes, and for Newcastle, they are now just about safe in the Premier League. Leicester 2, Newcastle 4.